Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I'm so happy to be with you again today as we consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I want to talk about having different kinds of anxiety and stress responses. And these can be looked at as, are you responding as an escape artist? Are you responding as a distractor? Or are you responding as a solver? And I bet with me just mentioning those three different types that you probably have an idea of where you fall to begin with. And how we deal with our stress really matters. We talk about that here a lot. And I was talking with a client this morning, and we were going over the idea that life is not going to stop being stressful. Sometimes it's more stressful than others, but it's not going to stop. There will always be things to deal with, whether it's health or relationships, the weather. It runs the gamut of what we have to deal with. But how we deal with it is where we do have power, and that's what really matters. Unless you were born with a special gift for managing stress, way intelligently and highly effectively, this is one of those skills that's really worth developing, learning how to deal with stress. Your response, how you come back at what life has thrown at you. Your response to this stress can predict the level of success you enjoy in your life. How you deal with your stress also affects your health, and you know that. If you've had anxiety, you know the role that it can play on your health and well-being. And one thing is for sure, if you avoid all stressful situations, your life will become stagnant. Growth requires dealing with stress. We grow, we become who we are through being stressed, forging us. This is how we are made as diamonds, through the stress, the pressure put on us. It does not have to hurt us if we can learn how to deal with stress in different ways. So I wanted to look at it, as I have in the past, as like an escape artist, a distractor, or a solver. And most people respond to stress in one of these three ways, or some close variation of it. So let's look at those more closely. The escape artist does anything they can to remove themselves from the situation. Any solution that removes the stress in the short term is a good option to the escape artist. The long-term consequences are of little concern. Hate your job? You quit. Even if you don't have another one. Relationship stress? Leave them. So you get the idea of where I'm going with this. It's the immediate change that they are going after. Get me out of here right now. The escape artist. And now how about the distractor? The distractor attempts to distract themselves from the issues that are causing the stress. This distraction often takes the form of watching TV, shopping, doing chores, surfing the internet, eating junk foods. And you can see from those ideas all the various places that the distractor will go possibly to remove themselves from having to deal with the stress. And now the solver focuses on finding solutions to the causes of the stress. If there isn't a solution to the stress, the solver does his best to relax and avoid worrying about anything beyond his control. So which one do you feel like you fall into? Are you finding solutions to the cause of your stress? And if you can't find a solution, are you doing your best to let it go, relax, avoid going into the worry monkey mind about anything that is beyond your control? Or are you distracting, finding a million and one ways to just get the issue away from you so that your mind is not thinking about it? Now, a little caveat here is that distraction can work for us too. In the short term, we all need to distract here and there. You got a pain and you're in a meeting, you distract from it. I get it. We all do it. But we don't want this to be our way of going through our life dealing with stress. And then the escape artist, that is the way to get away from whatever it is. Just get me out of here right now. With no idea of what is this coming up for? Why is this coming up? Is there something I need to know from this thing coming up, this stress? No, it's just the immediate getting away from it. And of course, there's combinations, and that's probably where most of us fall. I get it. But it's just a way of painting a little bit of a picture for you so that you can see that there are many different ways that we can respond to stress. Negative effects of poor responses really impact our physical and our emotional health. Because what we are doing there when we have poor responses to stress is we are internalizing the stress and causing results that are even possibly worse than the original issue. We're putting it all inside ourselves. So learning to respond to stress effectively is good for you in so many different ways. And a huge part of being successful in life depends on how you handle your stress. Successful people learn positive ways to manage their stress because stress is a part of life that must be managed. And we can do that and have healthy and happy lives. Sometimes we get turned upside down with stress. Yep. We all go there. It's okay. It's how we are responding in the long run that makes the difference. So let's look at a couple of different ways that you could begin to deal with stress to get the most out of your days. First off, you could focus on finding a solution. There really isn't any other option that makes sense. If you're going to spend a lot of time and energy, spend that time and energy wisely, rather than worrying, which doesn't get us anywhere. It's like sitting in a rocking chair. You're doing something, but you don't get anywhere. Focusing on finding a way out of the situation that is causing your stress is a good way to spend some of your energy, focusing on finding a way out of it. But if there is nothing that you can do, you have to accept that and let go of it rather than continuing with the ideas going round and round like a hamster wheel, beginning to go into the worry phase. You can do what you can and then let go. Do what you can and then let go, because doing what you can today is going to be different than what you can do tomorrow. So save your energy for the times that you can actually do something. You can also keep your head down and implement your solution. Once you've found the solution, put that energy into implementing it. This is the best use of your time and energy. Consider how different your life would be if you committed all the energy you spent on worrying and put it toward finding solutions and putting them into action. Wow, big difference. Avoid jumping at options that simply relieve your pain in the short term. This is really common, and this is something that on a bad day, I can lean toward this one myself. Jumping at an option to relieve the pain in the short term. Now again, some days we wouldn't even think of doing that. Another day, if we are overloaded, our plate is too full, and we just can't put one more straw on that camel's back, we might do that. It's a natural tendency when we're faced with stress to focus on a short-term solution. And while this may relieve you of your stress in the very near future or right now, it will also likely cause you even greater pain down the road. This is something I just went through this past week, and I'm so glad that I can share with you that this happens to me. Like, there is no perfection happening over here behind the mic. I have to pay attention to all these things too. But the more we do it, the less we have to actually think about it. It comes up much more naturally. And the less stressed I am, the more easily I move through my days. So avoid using stress relief as your primary objective in your decision-making process. Maintain a long-term focus as much as you can. Because everybody deals with stress in their own way. We might mimic our parents, the way that they modeled their stress responses, or still use habits that we developed in childhood. That's why it's good to take a look at what we are doing. Are we doing these things out of habit, or is this the way we really want to live our lives? Most of us wish that we were better at managing stress. So make time to examine this important part of your life and how you respond to the stress. It really matters. The less unnecessary stress you carry, the more your mind and body register safety, giving you more responsive and less reactive fight or flight responses. So let's talk a little bit now about how we can tolerate those anxious feelings when they come up. Because if we can tolerate them a little bit better, we might not jump right into being the escape artist or the distractor, right? A central component of healing from high stress and anxiety and panic is learning how to tolerate the anxious feelings. Life has both ups and downs. And understanding that we can tolerate the downs and that we don't have to avoid them or be the escape artist is vital. The inability to tolerate distress is a precise predictor of anxiety. I hope you heard that. The less that you can handle distress, the more apt you are to become anxious. So this is the thing we want to learn. We want to learn stress tolerance. We want to be able to deal with those anxious feelings. We all have challenges and problems in our lives. And like I was talking about with my client today, they're not going away anytime soon. But what we can get more of is the ability to handle these things. The ability to see them in a different way so that they don't feel so scary. At the core of challenges causing anxiety is our inability to tolerate and manage the distress that these challenges bring with them. Sometimes we find ways to manage distress that is relieving in the short run, but produce the same distress in the long run, or a new distress, as I kind of learned this week. I put myself in that kind of a situation. And some of the ways that we manage our distress are outright destructive, and even in the short run. And that can be when we use distraction that can cause us ill health. We can also see here that it's not the distress or the challenge so much as what we are doing to manage it that may be the problem. Because sometimes how we are managing our stress is a bigger issue and problem than the distress or challenge itself. Now that's something to think about. An example of this that you all may relate to is avoidance. The inner dialogue may go something like, I can't cope if something bad happens. So if something bad does happen, it would be catastrophic. So we go about trying to anticipate things in advance and take steps to avoid, solve the issue before it's even evident, try to make things perfect, or worry and ruminate. That is living the problem that has not even happened. We're living the problem today that may never even come. Somewhere along the line, we learned that not sitting with distress or avoiding it altogether was a good and helpful thing to do. Somewhere we learned that, and it probably served us at the time. We were probably children. We forgot that we could adjust, cope, and that we can survive. Being built to experience the full range of human emotions, we can handle them. We are resilient. We do well to remember our inner security, not react with impulsivity on feelings, have a capacity to self-soothe, and practice self-compassion. We do have inner security. We don't need to react with impulsive reactions with our feelings. And we do have the capacity to self-soothe and practice self-compassion. While life can send us for a loop with stress, the stress in and of itself is not bad. Stress calls us into action, and it motivates us, points us toward making corrections in our lives so we live better lives. Stress becomes an issue when it turns into distress by having too many stressors, reaching our stress threshold, and when the stress has gone on for too long. So remember, we begin to expand our container for difficult feelings and sensations with self-compassion. Start there. Be kind to yourself as you're making these changes. I'd love for you to take some of this to your journal and answer maybe some of these questions. What can you do something about, and over what do you have no control? So where do you have control and where do you not have control? Where can you tolerate stress without being in fear? And where can you become more resilient? Where can you befriend or make peace with difficult feelings and sensations you may be experiencing with anxiety? And finally, why might you be holding back on your self-compassion? I hope this was helpful for you, and I hope that you will actually try to see where your stress responses are. And if you do nothing else, when you notice your stress response, be self-compassionate, and we can all move forward from there. And now for today's quote. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. And that's from Maya Angelou. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.